related to yesterday's stuff anyway, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now again we are going to go to another CTF. Which is of course hosted on this tryhackme website. So I would say this is a very good resource. It has a lot of stuff for practice as well. And okay, the CTF that we'll be doing today, okay, so this one is Wonderland. Again, let me deploy that. I'm already connected to the network,
Okay.
to their network. Just need to deploy this, and I can
So just
start.
send today's recorded session also. I may be leaving half the way.
Okay,
Yeah. So this is a web-based machine or normal?
this is. I mean, the web portion is there, but the most of the work is after you've found some clues from the web-based portion.
Okay.
So the main thing that you have to work on here is post exploitation.
Okay. Okay.
And this is one of the, this is a very interesting machine that I found. So I think this is something that we should go through. And it is somewhat different than previous machines that we've done. You would say it's a little more complicated than previous ones, but it's definitely very interesting. And I had a lot of fun solving it. Okay, so copy this to clipboard. This is the IP for our target system.
Okay.
Now, we don't really know anything about it, so the first thing I'll do is a basic nmap scan. Let's see what we get. It says all 1000 scan ports are closed. Okay, let us try waiting for a couple minutes because these things can take a minute to load.
Okay.
Let us try now. Okay, So now we see that there are two open ports. But just to be sure, let's do a thorough scan as well.
Sir, can we see somewhere a Unix-based system, CTF, just to practice for a Mac OS pen testing?
For Mac OS,
Because we
okay.
have Windows and Linux. What
Hmm.
about Mac OS?
The thing is, you're hardly going to find any Mac targets
Okay, okay.
because why do we keep seeing all these Windows and Linux targets? Because most web servers or most even other kind of servers, even database servers and all, they use either Windows or Linux.
Okay, okay.
But Mac is like I've never come across a server which might be using Mac. Like I've never come across a
Uh,
mainstream
Whether you
server with
sound
Mac.
from CTFs on Unix-based machines.
I mean, CTFs, yeah, you may find CTFs, but I don't cover them because that's very unlikely going to be a target. Mac is mostly used just on personal systems.
Okay, okay. So CTFs will be helpful for internal testing, right? Not external.
Yeah, this is mostly going to be for internal testing. For external, you get a few extra steps, of course, in your process, like figuring out IP addresses and stuff.
Yeah,
So
when we need to bypass the firewall.
yes,
Yeah.
so with this kind of thing, uh, when you talk about external stuff, you can try looking into bug bounties. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
closer to an external test,
Hmm.
and it is actually an external test because you are working remotely. In that case, you don't have access to their networks, but still you have to try and figure out if there are any vulnerabilities there or if there is anything that can be exploited.
Is there any resource to practice those stuff? Like bypassing the firewall and getting the IP?
Bypassing firewalls, okay.
Is there any specific resources like CTF for internal?
CTF is for internal, okay. Okay, this let me,
Because in industry we will be doing both internal and external testing, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I just asked. There any resource to
In
study about?
in an actual test, of course, there are ways to, of course, you have to evade firewalls and stuff in an actual test. But with CTF, it's difficult to find that kind of configuration.
Okay. So how to practice on those scenarios, sir?
Those scenarios, see, one thing that you can do is you can, of course, you have your virtual machine system set up. So you can use that. You can set up a virtual machine, set up a firewall in it, and then practice.
Okay, okay.
Okay, that is a very good way to practice. So there are a lot of evasion techniques. There are certain things in Nmap which help you bypass these things, bypass firewalls.
Okay. It's taking very long time.
Yeah, this is taking quite a long time. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this for now. Let's just work based off of this information, see what we get. So, okay, we have so far port 22 and port 80. Now, port 22 is SSH, requires credentials. We don't have any. So let's just work with port 80, see what we get. Okay, so we get a website and it says follow the white rabbit. And there's some text. Scroll down, there's nothing, there's just this image. Again, nothing here. Now, in any website, you can't not check this. So, okay, robots.txt not available, page not found. Okay, now we don't really know any other URLs, there are no links here. So, we are now going to do some brute forcing with the Go Buster. So, the Buster actually has a lot of good word lists that can be used. That's why I prefer using these.
Okay.
And a lot of CTFs will have you use this kind of thing because it contains very relevant words, you could say, in the word list, and it's a very good word list. All of these are quite good, quite useful, but the most common you'll see is this directory list 2.3 small and medium. So these are the most common
So
that
this
you
is a
can use.
dictionary attack, right? Not brute force.
Yeah, this is dictionary attack.
Okay.
Brute force would take way too long to be effective because with the dictionary attack you already have words which you know would be most commonly found on a website. So they try to list directories which are going to be found on a website, which are more likely to be found. So that is way better than a brute force attack in this case because it can take a very long time and it may not even give you good results. So far, it has found two directories, AMG, which is probably for images, and this, this slash R. Now we can check these. Let's see what we find. Image, okay, it contains three images. Mhm. Okay, just an image. Not really sure what to do with it. This is just the image that we saw earlier, so it doesn't look like there's anything else here that we can use. And since this is now, let's try the other link out. Okay, so when we go to the /r, it tells us keep going. Would you tell me please? Okay, this is just dialogue related to the theme of the CTF. View page source. Any hints? No. So I don't think it's going to find anything else which is useful here. So we are going to have to look for other ways to do this. So this is not really telling us how to proceed. There are no hints on this page. There is nothing which we can use to go further. So what can we try? What can we do?
Can we try with steganography?
Okay, let's try that. So it says follow the white rabbit. Okay, let's just download this image, because if you're trying steganography, of course you need to download that first. And for stegno, we don't really have any other resources besides this image. Okay, so let's see what we can find. Just go to this tab. And okay, so usually when you start with steganography, or when you start with steg analysis, which is trying to break steganography, one thing that you can try, which is very basic, is the strings command. Okay, now you've seen this command before. It finds out human readable strings. Now this can give you an answer in a lot of cases, but it's not always going to work. Okay, so in this case, it's not going to work. So we'll have to go a little bit further. Okay, nothing here. So there is a tool. Now in steganography, this is one of the most popular tools that is available, which is steg hide. Okay, now this is again, it's pre-installed. Now just look at the examples, the usage here. To embed text, okay, you use the embed option. And what we need is we're trying to extract data from the file, from the image. So we use the extract option. So what I'm going to do is steg hide extract hyphen sf and the name of the file. White rabbit, okay. Enter passphrase. Now, in a lot of cases, you'll see that when people add files to, when people hide files within other files, when they perform steganography, they usually add some kind of password before you can just extract the file. But we don't really know any passwords. Sometimes a blank password is also going to work. So in this case, a blank password worked. Otherwise, you have tools like steg cracker. Okay, so they can crack the password for a file that has been a file that is carrying another file which is hiding another file, and you can use steg cracker to crack the password in that case. In this case, there is no password for this file, so it has written extracted data to a file known as hint.txt. So the hint simply says follow the rabbit. What do you think this would mean, or this could mean?
Maybe directory name rabbit.
directory named rabbit. We could try that. Okay, let's see if it exists. Directory. Okay, directory is not there. What else could it suggest?
Can you go to the website, sir?
Website. Okay, yeah. Okay, see, follow the rabbit. Now, for the word rabbit, see the spacing. Okay, it's not normal spacing. See the spacing for the other text and for this text. So this is supposed to be a hint. Can you figure out now what the hint is?
Don't know, sir.
Okay. So we saw that there is a directory called R. Okay.
Okay, within R. Okay.
So we could try within R, and we get a valid page. It says keep going. Let's try B now. Okay. Let's continue. Similarly, okay. So this again, this is just the story, the text for that. So do we have anything here? Or it's always a good idea to check the page source. Can you see anything here?
No, sir.
No. Okay,
Just an image.
let's see this. Okay, so the word Alice colon followed by what looks like a password. So I can just copy this. Now, what can we do with this password?
Sir, whether the SSH is open, SSH port.
SSH. Yes, SSH is open. We saw that there were two ports open,
Okay.
SSH and HTTP. So we can try SSH. Okay, there was also another URL that it found, which was poem. If you go to that, you will find just a poem, and it has got nothing of value with respect to the CTF. So it's not really going to give us any hints. It's just there.
Okay.
This is what is known as a rabbit hole in a CTF. So you can, if you go down a rabbit hole, it means like you are pursuing a dead end, and it is going to happen. That's going to happen a lot with CTFs, that you are going to go down rabbit holes, end up trying to work on something that is not going to happen. Okay, now we found that SSH, we found some passwords. Sorry, we found some credentials, username and a password. Now we can try to log in with SSH. Okay, so the password works. We are now logged into the system. So the credentials worked. Let's see where we are. Okay, we are in Alice's home directory. Good. Let's see what files are present. Okay, we have a file known as root.txt. Now, root.txt is the root flag, and usually this is always present in the root directory. So, okay, let's try accessing it. Permission denied. Actually, you can also use this. So, root.txt again. This is actually the root file. So, sorry, this is actually the root flag, not the root file. So, only root will be able to access it. Okay, so we cannot do anything with that file as of now. Just add some more time here. Now, if I take a look at the hint here, it tells me that everything is upside down here. So what further clue does that give us? What could that mean?
Okay, Tor is the password.
Pardon?
Tor, TOR, for root.
No, no, it does not mean that.
Okay,
Upside down here means, see, this root flag is in the user directory. So that means the user flag will be in the root directory. Okay, so
okay.
let us see. I mean, of course, it's a thought. Unless you try, you don't know. Now, if you look at the permissions for this root directory, they are a little different. So even others have execute permissions on this root directory, which is not the case usually. Usually it's just RWX and rest is all blank. So we should be able to get into the root directory. But if you do something like ls, you won't be able to do that. Can you tell me why that is?
Because no write permission.
No read permission.
Read, sorry. Yeah.
So some commands will not work. You will not be able to find out what the file names are in this case. But I'm looking for the user flag, and usually the name of the user flag is user.txt. So let me try if I can access that. And cat user.txt gives you the user flag. So you can copy this, paste it here, and that will be your answer for user flag.
Sir, did you check sudo command for this user?
That is what I'm going to do next. We need to perform.
Okay.
We need to do privilege escalation now. So sudo, what is the option that I need to give it?
-L.
Yes, -L. Password, we have that copied. Okay, so it says that user Alice may run the following commands. So this is the command. So this is the Python program that you could see in Alice's home directory, and it says rabbit. So what does this mean?
There is some user called Rabbit.
Yes, there is some user called rabbit, and you can run this command as rabbit, not as root, but as rabbit. So we can't run this command as root, but we can run this command as rabbit.
Okay.
Okay, so let us go back to the root, sorry, not to the root directory, to the home directory. Okay, because this is the Python file which is present. So I need to take a look at that. So cd tail, which gives us the home directory. Now I need to take a look at this Python file to figure out what it's doing. Okay, so that looks like it's just a long poem. Okay, so all it is doing is import random. So they're importing a random library. Poem is equal to, and they stored this long poem in a variable. They've run a for loop, which is randomly choosing a line from the poem and printing it. So basically, it's doing this 10 times. So it's randomly printing 10 lines from the poem. Let's try executing this. Okay, just okay. So I'll just copy this entire thing because I'm not going to write it again. Now, in order to run a command as root, we use sudo. But what do we use to run a command as another user?
SU.
No, no. SU is just for switching user. Like if you want to change accounts. In this case, also we'll use sudo, but we'll use an option -u to specify the user that we want to run this command as. So
Okay.
the user we want to run this command as is rabbit. And now I paste this. Okay, so basically what we are doing is we are running the command as rabbit, we are running Python, and we are executing this Python script. Now, like we saw, this script is simply just printing 10 random lines from the poem. So at first glance, it does not really look like it would be very useful. But if I take a look at the code, is there anything here that we can use to our advantage? Okay, not the poem itself. The poem itself is not of any use to us because it's simply a poem. What are you going to do with it? So the poem itself is not going to help us with the privilege escalation. But the first line of this Python script, okay, import random. Now what they are doing here is With import random, they're trying to import a Python library which is known as random. But the way Python works is that program, if you have a Python program known as random in your system or in the same directory as this program is in, so you can, sorry, not you can, Python is going to import that instead of importing the library.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we can use to our advantage.
Okay.
I could create a Python script here known as random.py or py, sorry, which is the format for a Python script. Now think about this. When it's doing import random, okay, so that means if I'm creating this program, my custom program will be imported instead. So what can I do to escalate my privileges now? Keep in mind that we are running this command as Rabbit, not as Alice. I should be trying to get a shell, right?
Yeah, that Python's code which you use to escalate the privilege.
No, actually, that is not. Okay, that is a way to use. Okay, yes, you're right. See, so there are two ways to do this. Either I can do import pty, which is the code that I use to get a better shell, and I can say pty dot spawn. What do I say here? You see me use this
In bash.
bin bash. Yes, yes, you're right. So this is the exact thing that we can use. There is also another option if you want to use that, import os and os dot system. Sorry, not ps. Os dot sys and same thing bin bash. So both of these will work in this situation. The code that we use to get a better shell, that will work as well, and this is going to work. So the OS library is used to, you can perform all different kinds of functions like listing files and executing system commands and stuff using this OS library.
Okay.
Okay, so for now, let's stick to the one that we typed earlier. We want to get a bash shell regardless of what method we use. We just want to get that shell. Okay, so I'm going to exit this now, save modified buffer file name to write. Okay, so our file is present here now.
So
So
this code is specific to Linux or can we use in Windows also for
for
getting the
Windows,
PowerShell?
you would need to provide the path to CMD.
Okay.
Similar situation. In Linux, we use a bash shell. So bin bash is the path.
Yeah, yeah.
So for Windows, it would be C Windows System 32 CMD.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let's uh, try doing this again. Now you can see from Alice in Wonderland, we are now Rabbit in Wonderland. Rabbit at Wonderland, actually, to use the correct term. So who am I? Rabbit. Now, okay, first let's take a look at where we are. We are currently in Alice's home directory because we didn't change directory. This was not an SSH login. We didn't change directory, so we are still here. Now let's go back to another directory. Now keep in mind that for this user, okay, sorry, what am I doing? For this user, we cannot run the sudo -l command because As of this moment, we don't know the password for this rabbit account.
Yeah.
Or okay, so all we know is that we used a loophole with Python to get access to this account.
Okay.
So the Alice directory we've already visited. There are three other directories here: tryhackme, rabbit, and hatter, which are only accessible to their respective users or members of their groups. If I try the groups command, okay, sometimes this can be useful. It tells you what groups you are a part of. Okay, so groups rabbit. So the other directories are still not accessible to us. We can just go into rabbit, see what's here. Okay, here's a file called tea party. If I see what kind of file it is, so it's a set UID file, and it's an
Sir,
E.
I need to leave, sir. No.
Okay, okay, you can leave.
Okay. You just send me the recorded session after this. Okay, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye.